Good evening to you, and many thanks for joining us on this edition of KTN News Sources. It is the Ladies' Night edition, and you have seen the primaries taking place, the ODM primaries, and how heated they have been, and all the dynamics that have gone into that. It's just one day before the Jubilee Party primaries also, which has been staggered into 2 days. So a lot to look into. My name is Sharon Momanyi. Welcome to the program.
We look at the bigger story, as Sharon mentioned. We'll also be speaking to Nakuru County Assembly Speaker Susan Kihika, who is also an aspirant for the senatorial position of Nakuru County. What are the stakes? What is her agenda? How would she analyze the nomination process in the country, both for ODM, Jubilee and the other parties? My name is Akisa Wandera. Welcome to News Sources.
Right.
Na tumesema wazi, candidate yoyote ambaye ataanzisha vita kwenye huu uchaguzi atakuwa immediately disqualified.
Kama vile Solomoni alisema, ile mama hakukuwa mwenye mtoto, alisema gawa katikati. Ati mimi niende nikae na ujamoo kufanya nini? Ati tukae tugawanyishe mtoto?
Welcome to the program. Now, the Jubilee Party has this afternoon announced that it will now stagger its primaries between the 21st and 25th of this month, reversing its earlier decision to conduct its primaries on the same day. Party Secretary General Raphael Tuju says the move was necessitated by the increased number of counties where Jubilee will conduct its nominations.
Na kitu muhimu sana, aspirants wote wamekubaliana kwa umoja kwa watafanya uchaguzi kwa salama na kwa amani, na sisi tuna matumaini kwa hizi elections zitafanyika kwa salama, bila mgogoro wowote, bila mvutano wowote na bila vita vyovyote.
If you can rig this process, please come to me, I'll pay you money.
Right, and just as we get into that discussion, let me introduce our panel tonight. To my immediate right is Betty Waitherero, who is a political communications researcher. Many thanks for joining us. And we have Faith Rono, who's a communications specialist. And of course, Akisa Wandera joining us tonight. Many thanks, ladies. So, did we see this coming? Everybody was like, how exactly is Jubilee going to, manage this in one day? Can we say we saw this coming? Is it a good move?
I think it's good for them to make the decision to stagger their their party primaries, especially when you think about how vast the regions they're covering are, and also the number of aspirants coming in under the Jubilee Party. Mm-hmm. I think we've heard that there are over 40,000 aspirants. I haven't checked the list yet, mm-hmm. But over 40,000 MCA aspirants, mm-hmm. And of course there are fewer for the other positions, but still for the MCA levels, you'll find in different constituencies and in different wards as many as 8, 16. Mm-hmm. And so if you have a situation like that, it's imperative that Jubilee takes it seriously enough to, split the amount of time that they're going to spend, conducting the party primaries, so that every aspirant mm-hmm. Is taken care of, mm-hmm. and it's a credible election.
All right.
Yeah.
And of course, we had seen the Secretariat head, Raphael Tuju, yesterday just admitting that would prove to be a logistical headache, mm-hmm. Having all of those nominations taking place in one day. So do you think it makes it easier now that it's been spread to 2 days? Because we've also seen the increase in the number of counties that will be going through the nominations.
Yeah, actually, initially, like you said, Sharon, I think for me, I was thinking it's very difficult to pull off, primaries in just a single day, and you're looking at about over 30 counties for Jubilee. And looking at what has happened already in the other parties, ODM, what we are seeing happening, it would have been very difficult for Jubilee to pull off the primaries in just one day. Now, logistically speaking, I think that would be a great advantage for them, because we're looking at getting the election materials to the polling stations right on time. You know, the polling stations open at 6, as early as 6, so you don't want to keep voters waiting until 11 or midday. And so logistically speaking, like you said, I think it would be helpful for them, because now staggering for 2 days means they will have time to transport the ballot materials and everything. However, having said that, I don't think it will solve the administrative issues. Remember that there are very key issues that all the political parties are looking at, and these are issues that have been raised by aspirants across the board. We've seen aspirants in Jubilee Party already complaining over, you know, alleged rigging. There's accusations and counter accusations.
Right.
And so I think in terms of the administrative issues, in terms of whether the elections will be, the primaries will be free, fair, and credible, I don't want to preempt that. I really wouldn't say that. But logistically speaking, I think that's an add-on for them.
Okay, Akisan, you've been covering this the whole day.
But when she talks about administrative issues, I tend to agree with her, because if we go with what we've seen in ODM, even the 2 days might not be enough. We've seen some ODM cancel the nomination exercise with just hours remaining to the kickoff of the exercise. We've seen some that have been marred with a lot of violence. They've had to be postponed.
Right.
And we know the politics of this country is almost same forest, different monkeys. But we wish them well. We hope all eyes are on Jubilee, because for a very long time, ODM has come out as the violent party. But time and again, they have said that the nomination exercise is not an easy exercise, because you cannot control all those people. And you know, elections in this country are a matter of life and death.
Right.
So,
and we'll be speaking about the violence that we've actually witnessed in a bit.
It will take a major part of it.
Right. And Betty, what do you think are some of the lessons that Jubilee would want to take even as they get into their primaries?
Well, certainly a top on the agenda is to ensure that the ballots are not stuffed, they're not rigged, and that it's a transparent election. Thanks for asking me that.
Because we're getting back to that, what we're going on now is not too far from what we're talking about, power play and Jubilee Party primaries that are expected to start on Friday, with all eyes set on strongholds and competitive counties for gubernatorial races. Murang'a, Kiambu, Nakuru, Uasin Gishu, Kirinyaga, Nyeri and Nairobi counties are among the hotly contested tickets. For Nairobi County, it remains to be seen whether the candidates will go to the ballot for the Jubilee ticket or they will agree by way of consensus. All right, something has been trending on Twitter today. It is yet to be confirmed whether Sonko will be stepping down for Peter Kenneth. Betty, you literally live on Twitter, I am sure.
Oh, my God.
I'm sure you've seen that. What do you think? Could this hold any water?
Well, you know, I saw, and this was today morning, that there was an article in the newspapers talking about Sonko rejecting a potential cabinet post, and after being asked to step down for Peter Kenneth by the presidency. I don't know how real that is. It sounded really, wow, okay. But as for rumors that he would step down for Peter Kenneth, I would think that it would be politically strategic for him to do so. The pressure is quite heavy on him at the moment, especially within the Jubilee Party. And if he was to go into the party primaries versus Peter Kenneth with the kind of pressure and negativity, plus the presidency seemingly not on his side, he would lose the party primary.
But you can't be too sure. Look at
well, you know,
the support that Sonko boasts of. Quickly, before we go to Susan and Nakuru.
Yeah, I think, you know, talking about the Jubilee strongholds and the kind of fireworks that we're likely to see, you know, these are green zones. And so we definitely, talking of Nairobi, we have Peter Kenneth and Sonko. Definitely, if he doesn't back out, then that would be a very tight race. If you look at Uasin Gishu, we have Buzeki and Mandago. If you look at Kirinyaga, the same thing. And so we expect to see fireworks in this, what we would call green zones, Jubilee green zones, where
All right.
the bedrocks, yeah.
All right, we're getting back to that. Speaking of hotspots, Nakuru County is expected, the Nakuru County senatorial race is also expected to be a very fiery one, which is pitting Susan Kihika, the County Assembly Speaker, against Koigi Wawamwere. We're now joined live by Susan Kihika, the County Assembly Speaker of Nakuru County. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. And of course, there's a lot of speculation, and this particular race is perceived to be one of the hottest in that particular county. Are you ready?
Absolutely. I'm completely ready.
Yes, Susan.
Yes.
How do you plan to take on Koigi Wawamwere, knowing the history that he has? Do you think you stand a chance?
Not only a chance, but I am sure that I'm going to beat him. As much as he has been there before, I also think for most people in the county, it's time to turn a new leaf and maybe get new leaders. And I strongly believe that I have been able to convince the voters of Nakuru County that I am that person that they need for that seat.
How exactly have you managed to convince them?
Because based on what I have been doing as a speaker for the last 4.5 years, they have seen me fight, not fight physically, but stand firm for the common Mwananchi, for the Mwananchi in Nakuru County, have seen me provide leadership with great oversight on the executive arm of the government. So because that's a serious and important function of a senator, then most of the voters in this county then believe that I'm the right fit.
Of course, Susan, when your name comes up, we don't fail to, the name of your father, the maverick politician, doesn't fail to come up, and most say that you are dangling on this name to give you a position when it comes to the August 8th polls. What do you think about the influence of your family in this particular race?
Well, I think that's an interesting way to look at it. One, I'm extremely a proud daughter of my father. I'm proud of his record. I'm proud of what he achieved for his people. And I'm extremely proud. At the same time, though, for the last 4.5 years, as a Speaker of the County Assembly of Nakuru, I think I have been able to also show that I bring more to the table than just my name. I have been able to stand my own ground. I have been able to carry the day in a lot of very difficult circumstances. And by that being the case, then I believe I'm not here as Susan Kihika running for the Senate just because I'm Kihika Kimani's daughter. However, I will say my father did run against Koigi Wawamwere, who is now running against me, back in '74, and he beat him. He beat Koigi Wawamwere back in 1974. So I'm sure I will be bringing back that battle royale and beating Koigi this time around.
All right, Susan, we're coming back to you shortly to talk about your agenda and some of the achievements that you think you have made in your 4.5 years as Speaker of Nakuru County. But Sharon, of course.
All right, and it's very interesting that you bring that up, how your father, Kihika, the late Kihika, was able to beat Koigi back then, and it remains to be seen whether that genetic victory will be seen. But let's talk about the other hotspots, Susan, being a Jubilee Party aspirant, these hotspots which include Kiambu, Murang'a, and whatnot. How do you see this playing out come Friday?
Oh, I think, and I'm very hopeful and extremely actually optimistic that our primaries, as our nominations as the Jubilee Party will be a lot more organized, a lot more smoother, and with no violence, I hope. At the same time, I'm also glad that the party decided to stagger the nominations and not carry them out all on the same day. Because I think logistically, it would have spread them too thin. Jubilee Party is the most popular party in this country, realistically, and truth be told. So we have a lot of aspirants, we have a lot of counties, And so that might have been a logistical nightmare. So by them staggering them to the 21st and the 25th, I believe it will be less stressful and the temperatures will come down a bit. And even with the hotspots, I think as a party, they've done a lot in sensitizing us, aspirants, the need to not have any violence and how much that's going to affect us as candidates. So with that in mind, and hopefully at the back of everybody's head as an aspirant, then we should toe the line and that way have zero tolerance to violence and therefore zero violence.
Just in your neighboring county there in Baringo, we saw leaders, some aspirants who had a meeting earlier today, and that did not go down well. They had sentiments that perhaps, some of the clerks who are meant to oversee this exercise on Friday, some that are really supporting the incumbents. Do you have any queries with regard to the freedom and the fairness of this exercise in your county, or are you happy with all the preparations as they are now?
So far, they've done a superb job in the steps they've taken. Along the way, they have involved us in all the decision making. We've had to do elections for even the elections board, which actually under the party's constitution, that's not necessarily our right to do, but they have made it so open to all of us that we've been able to participate. So because so far the party has seemed to be very, very open in its decision making and in its the steps they've taken in every way, then I believe, and I have no reason to think otherwise, that the nominations will be free and fair. But I also appeal to the party to make sure that the elections are free and fair, so that whoever wins, wins in a fair way. And whoever loses also knows that they lost in a fair nomination contest. So I think it's in the best interest, and they know that, of the party, and they've taken a lot of steps to ensure that that's the case. So I have no reason to feel worried. I have no reason to doubt my party leaders, and so I think it will be okay.
All right, just.
Right. Thank you, Susan, for coming and joining us on this occasion. I just have a question for you concerning what would happen after, let's assume you win and beat and make it a historical second defeat by your bloodline. Can I ask you what would happen to those who had Koigi Wamwere as their preferred aspirant, and how would you bring them back, to come again and vote for you in August 8th. One of the questions I wonder about when we have such hotly contested primaries is, will there be a fallout among supporters? Will supporters then feel apathetic towards the winning aspirant and not turn up for them? What do you say to that?
I think and I hope that that's not going to be the case. I believe that if whoever loses, and that's why I say it's so important that the elections are free and fair, so that whoever loses knows they lost because democracy carried the day. And after that, the right thing to do will be to be a leader and have your supporters support the winning candidate so that we make sure Jubilee carries the day on August 8th. So I'm not too worried that after the loss, I'm sure they will lose, whoever is running against me. I'm sure I'll win, that I'm sure. So I will be very accommodative and wanting everybody to come to the table and join us. But I'm truly not concerned that there'll be a fallout as long as the elections are free and fair.
All right, as you run your campaigns...
we are all bound together.
Yes.
Sorry. Mm-hmm.
All right, Susan. Finally, just before we get into something else, but we'll definitely get back to you. As you've been running your campaigns, opponents have been questioning the high level and the amount of money you've been using in running your high machinery campaign machinery. How do you manage to do this?
Well, I've had that question quite a bit in the last few days, and I'm kind of wondering why now. But I also would throw it back at you and wonder, the people that I'm running against also have the resources, and even those running for other seats as well in the county. So because I am a serious candidate, and because I'm in this to win it, I'm not just chancing, I'm not running a mediocre or average campaign. I have to do the best because I must carry the day at the end of the day, and I must do so by having a very well-organized, well-oiled campaign to be able to carry the day. As you just said, my opponents have been in politics for the last maybe 40 years. And so at the end of the day, I have to do everything I can to carry the day. What I have heard is a lot of very, very supportive friends and family who have been able to come to my aid, who know my capabilities and have reached out to me because they know what I can do for the county given the chance, and they have offered their resources to make sure that I carry the day.
All right. I have a question. You've talked about the resources that you have employed into this campaign, and you've said that you're not running a mediocre campaign. All right. I would like to know what sort of ideologies are you bringing to the table? What are you promising the people of Nakuru County? Because as it is now, the political landscape in this country is mostly about the kind of money that you can bring to the table, the kind of money you can, give to your supporters for them to vote for you. What exactly are you bringing on the table for the people of Nakuru County?
I actually disagree, and I don't think that the campaigning is about the money that you bring to the table. I think, and I don't even think in the proper context that I have used any more than any of the other candidates. But at the same time, I have been able to get the youth to believe in me, the women to believe in me, the men to believe in me, for them to see that I can carry their vision going forward. Nakuru is one county that has been very disadvantaged as far as the senator position in the last 5 years. We've had an absentee senator whom we have not felt, completely not felt. So I have been able, because I believe that, to convince the people, the electorate, that once I am given that opportunity to serve as a senator, then I'll be able to carry out the roles and duties of a senator, which we have not felt as a county. I'll be able to lobby for more resources to come down to the county so that there is more left to bring water, to do roads, to have medicines in the hospitals, for bursaries, to be able to empower the women and the youth and everything. So really, it's not about resources. It's about the people of Nakuru County believing that I can carry their vision and work for them to achieve what it is that they need.
Susan, before we let you go, just one more question. Your experience on running the campaigns as a woman, how can you describe that to be? We've seen a number of cases of violence. There have been some women aspirants who have, decried what they call is even sexual harassment. What can you say has been your experience on the campaign trail as a woman?
It's been extremely difficult, and it seems to be the same across the country. As a woman, it's really hard to campaign, to be in politics. It's dirty. We tend to be looked down upon, and a lot of the fighting that we get is more in the form of either intimidation by goons, or where maybe, like you said, in a sexual manner or whatever it is. But I think it's all meant to intimidate and keep us down, and so that we doubt ourselves. But I also think that it's important for us as women to stand up and keep fighting and keep going and keep moving, but at the same time be conscious for our security. I always advise the other ladies who are running, I come across, you can't just be walking around alone. Like, you can't do that, because there's too much violence being vetted against the women. Also, women tend to lack resources. And obviously, we know in this country, politics requires resources. So it kind of tends to disadvantage the women. So it becomes a harder task or goal for women to get elected because of the lack of resources, the intimidation, the nasty words we come across every day, the double standard in even questioning. Even when we go to the media, for example, for interviews, you find sometimes the kind of questions a woman is asked are not the kind of questions that men are asked. There is more snooping into our private lives and those of men. But, you know, we take it and we keep moving as long as we are focused and we know what it is that we want to do. I think eventually, the Kenyan people will see that women can serve too. My greatest support actually has been from women.
Thank you very much for joining us tonight here on News Sources. She is an aspiring senator for Nakuru County and Nakuru County Assembly Speaker. We wish you well. And of course, we would love to have you in our show some other time. All right, and as we talk about the party primaries, our tweetable question today, we ask you, do you believe the Jubilee Party will conduct free and fair nominations? Do you believe the Jubilee Party will conduct free and fair nominations? Tweet us at KTN News, at Akisa Wandera, at Sharon_Momanyi, and we will be taking a look at some of your views just before the end of the program. Now, tension, confusion and anger continued to dog ODM primaries across the country. In most polling stations, the exercise started late or failed to take off altogether over problems with voters' register, names of aspirants missing from the ballot papers, and late arrival of election materials. The ODM National Elections Board have rescheduled at least 10 primaries due to poll hitches, and all political parties ready to conduct party primaries. All right, so ODM has been subject of discussion since the party primaries started. Some have been peaceful. We can give them that, but some have been chaotic, and some say we should expect more because we are yet to see the hotly contested places like Kisumu County, for instance. What do you think, Faith?
I think I honestly, I don't want to judge a Jubilee Party because they've not gone to the primaries yet. But for the parties that have gone to the primaries, and especially ODM, it is very clear that they were not prepared. I mean, simple things like names of aspirants, missing in the ballot papers. The confusion over, whether to use the party register or the IEBC register. For me was very ridiculous because when I had ODM having the issue of, whether to use the IEBC register or their own party register, it's very worrying because as we know, the IEBC is not done with, cleaning the register.
Plus, these are decisions they would have made
exactly
way earlier.
And remember that every party in this country has their own party register. The party register is given to the registrar of political parties. So they cannot tell us that all this time they do not have the party register ready. Now, logistical issues like having the polling stations open on time, having the ballot papers delivered on time, those are the kind of issues that we are looking at. They're very simple issues that if they were, the party was well prepared, then probably we couldn't have witnessed such issues. However, when it comes to violence and allegations of rigging, the shambolic cases that we have seen, I think it boils down to the kind of party leadership that we have, and it's very unfortunate because over 20 years we have. When we got into, multi-party democracy, we have not seen Kenya, changing to the kind of country that we want to see. And so we are seeing party bigwigs, sort of giving the certificates to their loyalists, to people whom they think have been loyal to their parties. I mean, it's a reality, and we've seen this in ODM. And so clearly, in terms of preparedness, they were not prepared. In terms of democracy, we are not seeing the kind of democracy that we should be seeing.
Betty, do you agree with her?
No, well, okay. I'll tell you
No
why.
or a yes?
It's a bit mixed. These are mixed results, yeah? To one level, I'd say that ODM's party primaries have turned out in the way I would expect, given the sort of lack of knowledge or lack of, preparation this particular party, and also the others, by the way. I'll tell you something. Jubilee gave out the smart cards, and then they were digital, and they were not digital. I don't know. So we'll see again on Friday and Saturday. But with ODM, when it comes to actually conducting the elections, I agree with Faith. There's a problem there. Missing names on ballots, not knowing which register to use, those are critical issues. And then when you have people just turn up, they don't know if they're supposed to have been registered members or not, just, everyone sort of turned out at the beginning, yeah? So that's the problem of messaging and ensuring that your members understand their roles in the party primaries, how they're going to be conducted, all of that.
But do you think like this show of disorganization affects the level of confidence that the members have at all?
No,
I think that
to me, them turning up, the members, the voters turning up, shows that they have confidence in their own party elections internally. Them turning up shows that. So I'd take it at that. The reason why, it's very worrisome, the level of violence and chaos that mars these party primaries. Why it is like that, and you wanted us to have evolved our democracy to a certain level by this time, it is because of certain laws that we passed in the last few years. The locking in principle has greatly affected the way we see our internal democracy within political parties. If you cannot pursue your aspirations beyond this weekend, it becomes something totally.
That's why it's a matter of life and death.
And then you
for
see
many.
people have branded cars and T-shirts, and it's not funny. So it becomes a total struggle, basically, for survival, politically and even financially, to just make sure your dreams come true. So that particular law has turned a situation that could have been less volatile into a little bit of a stress pot, I can call it that. I'm not blaming the law. I'm saying that this is what has, I'm not blaming the law.
2013, we witnessed the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
So it's not an excuse?
It's not an excuse.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
honestly, of course, the law has a role to play, because right now it's a matter of life and death.